Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.
Oh wait, it's coffee time.
Make your coffee to perfection. Expect nothing else. Do you like to make yourself a hot cup of coffee to start your day? We have both whole bean and grounded. Also great for all you iced coffee if not a hot kind of person. Even make yourself a frappe to quench your thirst. The best tasting coffee with espresso. It's only $18.99 plus taxes for a 12-ounce bag. Buy 1 to 5 bags and shipping is only $7. If you spend over $100, shipping is
Hey, good morning and welcome to once again it's Ken and Ken back from vacation and surgeries. Hey, good morning. It's good to see you guys. It's been a minute.
Hey,
Good morning.
Vacation there, guy.
Yeah, I got a new setup over here. Go to Amazon at all. We're supposed to be here last Monday before I left. Then it was going to be Wednesday. Then it was going to be next Wednesday. Then it showed up on Thursday. Go figure. Amazon delivery. But we've had a bunch of football and a bunch of changes. It's been a crazy week. Kind of a good week to go on vacation, but kind of a crazy week. Good morning, Fred. Good morning,
What's up,
JB.
Fred?
Or that might not be JB. It could be Nick there, huh? Good morning, Brent. So, yeah, look, I missed the first half of the Bears game because I was in transit, and my airline, their internet on their airplane, yeah, go figure, their Wi-Fi wasn't working for our flight. I caught the second half, and I got home. I got home just before halftime. The Bears looked worse without Eberflus than they did with Eberflus. I mean, that was having your interim OC become the interim HC is a big ask, man. You know, like he obviously could run the offense well from the booth, but from the sideline, like I said before I left, is a completely different ball game, and it showed, man.
The Bears look like there was a team run by a bunch of OCs.
Yeah, because the DC that we have, and he's been there all year, but his play calling was crap, wasn't it? I mean, and having Brown on the sideline, definitely you could tell his play calling was different. They gave up, 7 sacks, 8 sacks, something like that.
It was terrible. Bro, 4 yards in the first half. 4 yards.
Yeah.
That says everything you need to know for a whole half of football. And bro, I remember I told you, I looked it up. It wasn't the worst. So you guys aren't the worst.
It was damn close to the worst.
You're third.
Hey, you at least had 2 worse teams than what happened there.
But the funny thing is, you guys were already third. You just replaced that third. So you're now third and
So
fourth.
you're 3rd and 4th.
I mean, now you see why I kind of want more of a defensive-minded coach than an offensive-minded coach. I'd rather have that OC up in the booth, making the play call, where they can see schemes from up high, because obviously we can't get guys who can do it from the ground. I don't know.
So you want a defensive-minded head coach? Does that mean you're off the Chucky bandwagon?
No, because Chucky's both. Chucky's just a football-minded head coach.
Yeah, he's a football mind. Period.
Yeah,
He knows
period.
both. Yeah, he's one of those coaches that I would trust running either side of my ball or
Yeah.
either side of the.
Oh man, I really hope you're not trusting.
No.
either
I
side of your
realize-
ball.
I mean, look at like
I said it.
if Chucky were the head coach of the Bears, I don't think the North would be too happy about it.
Yeah, no, I mean he would be a threat, but
How are we going to say?
like any
Whatever
other
team he ends up going to, if he goes to one, the whole rest of that division isn't going to be happy about it.
yeah.
So, I mean, that was terrible. Now we got Monday Night Football coming up. You know,
You guys got another
All right,
issue.
Lauren.
Man. You guys got another issue. I think, like I saw an article today that Poles may fucking resign because he doesn't have any say over the next head coach.
who
There's
does it?
like a power struggle. Poles, they're saying. I saw an article that Poles may resign because they've already said that Warren is going to pick the next head coach, and
No, they said it was Poles' decision, but Warren would be a part of it. But it
that
was
ain't
all
what I
Poles.
heard. I heard that Warren's.
I've seen many articles that have said that.
Well,
No, it's not that Chucky gets blacklisted. It's the emails, and he's got a lawsuit. So technically, right now, he could come back if he wanted to, but he's chosen not to do any coaching until he resolves his lawsuit against the NFL, which right now looks like it's going to head towards arbitration. Same with the lawsuit for what's his name up in Minnesota, who's currently a coordinator. He's got pending as well, and it looks like it's going to go to arbitration. So both those guys are basically not head coaching. It's not that they're prohibited, but yeah, they've got kind of a legal action with the NFL. That's why neither are a head coach right now.
Okay, because
Actually, in Gruden's case, he appealed. So the original panel of judges ruled that they had to go to arbitration because the NFL very wisely puts it in their contracts that you can't sue them. You have to take it to arbitration, right? So Gruden's attorneys appealed that, saying, how is it fair that we have a lawsuit against the NFL, but we're forced to go to arbitration where Roger Goodell is going to be the guy leading that arbitration? Like, he's the defendant in our lawsuit.
it's rigged,
So-
dude. It's rigged.
Yeah, well, no, but
Fucking
so
rigged.
the panel of appeal judges actually agreed with Gruden's lawyers, and so they're not actually headed towards arbitration. They ordered that a trial can actually happen, and then now the NFL is, of course, appealing that decision. So
I don't think Gruden's going to be. Unfortunately, as much as I want Gruden, I don't think he's going to be coaching. And he just signed a deal with Barstool, and came out that he was actually thinking about going to become a college coach, decided not to. He wants to get. So I don't think, unless by some miracle Goodell says, you know what, we'll just settle. How about we just throw you a ton of money and be done with it or something? I don't know what they're going to do, but
Gruden's
is
not going to take the money. Gruden has money.
yeah.
Mark
No,
Davis already paid him out, and Gruden
Oh,
said like he doesn't. This isn't about money for him. This is
I
about how he was unfairly
well,
targeted.
That's what I was going to get to, Joe. Was
Oh, sorry.
they'll throw him a bunch of money. They'll throw him a
Throw
bunch
his
of
thunder,
money.
Joe.
Throw him a bunch of money and say, look, we'll admit that we were wrong and we did this wrong. We treated you unfairly, blah, blah, blah. Basically just try to do whatever they had to do to make Gruden happy, to make it go away. Because if this gets to court, going to court only helps one person, John Gruden. It doesn't help the NFL. They know this. They're going to try to settle. And probably the damage that would be done PR-wise is less by settling than going to court. So, and we all know Goodell's about his PR machine. So, but Gruden, unfortunately, I think is going to be out of the picture for the Bears or any team for the foreseeable future. And no John Dorn. I love John Dorn. No coach will go to the Bears unless they get to choose their quarterback. No, we're not getting rid of Caleb Williams for a new head coach. Sorry, Dorn.
Yeah, and the NFL will do anything they can to keep that case from going to discovery.
Yeah.
They do not want their dirty laundry aired out.
But
So
the problem is it's going to get aired.
yeah,
and
it's
they're
going to get aired because Gruden isn't going to have it any other way. Like,
We lost Joe.
See, the NFL's trying to silence Joe now too.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Joe was outing him.
Timu Joe Rogan's been silenced by the NFL. But no, I mean, look at Gruden's got deep enough pockets and deep enough resources and powerful enough friends to make this happen. They messed with the wrong hombre, as he would say, and now they're gonna they did what some of these political types are claiming they are now. They did the FAFO thing, and they are going to find out from Gruden in a very big way. So if you're the NFL, be smart, settle it, say whatever he wants you to say, surrender, and move on.
I don't know if that's going to be enough for Gruden, though. I don't know if that's going to be enough for Gruden, though. I think he wants to know whatever it is that was worth throwing him under the bus for. I think that's what he wants exposed. Like
it was it was to get rid of the ownership group in Washington, and he was the collateral damage.
Yeah, but I think there was more than that, is what I'm saying. I think that was like what was on the surface, but there's a reason that they sacrificed Gruden like they did.
Well, yeah, because Joe, look at where the Raiders were at that point. They were an ascending team
they were winning. Yeah,
that was going places. Oh yeah, after they, look at ever since Al moved him from Oakland to LA, and then back to Oakland, and then his son moves him to Vegas. The NFL was not happy has never been happy with the Davis family. Has always had an axe to grind with the Raiders, whether it be the players they sign, the ownership, the moves they make. The Raiders have always been, look, we're going to do what we're going to do, and the NFL has always had a revenge spot for them, and it's just more of the same. I mean, the only people who are happy about where the Raiders are in the league right now, besides the rest of the AFC West, is the NFL. If it was up to the NFL, the Raiders would be a one-win team every year.
Yeah. I think there was definitely more than one reason, is all I'm saying, with the Gruden thing. Like, I agree with you, Ken. I think they saw, oh, hey, Gruden is actually turning them around. They're 3-0 right now. Like, they're starting to come out of that fog. They're starting to come out of that losing shadow. And, then they wanted to get rid of Snyder, and so, but I think there was more too. I think that there's more even than that will come out if Gruden doesn't.
Holy shit, it's Adobe. Sorry.
There's even more than that.
Yeah, so I mean, they messed with the wrong hombre with Gruden. I mean, the NFL. But here's the sad part: even if Gruden gets his way, with the memory span of these NFL fans being about the same as a hamster, they'll be outraged for about a week, and then some trade will happen, and they'll forget all about it. That's the reality of it. I mean, it's just like, come on. No, they don't need Mike. The NFL doesn't need the Cowboys to win Super Bowls. They like the Cowboys where they are too. You know why? Because they still generate enough revenue and buzz in their current state to make them money. Look, if you notice, like Kansas City being the powerhouse it's been for the last decade has been great for the NFL because it's opened up a lot more fans in the Midwest. They're making more money. If it were Dallas, the money doesn't really change. But if it's KC, if it's Seattle, if it's any team not in the NFC North, they generate money because NFC North generates money. Bears fans are going to Bear fan. Packer fans are going to Packer fan. Lions fans, even when they win 0 games in a season, are going to show up, albeit with bags on their heads, but they're going to show up. Viking fans are going to show up. The North is a self-licking ice cream cone. It's going to generate the money it's going to generate. I mean, even with the Lions doing well for the last 2 years, it hasn't really generated the NFL a huge, a bigger surplus of income. But when a team like Kansas City does it, or a team like Houston does it, or a team like Baltimore or Miami, it generates that influx of cash. So for the NFL, the Cowboys being a perennial, it was so close, we were almost there, team, is perfect for the NFL because Jerry's still going to be out there being Jerry, saying bombastic things, spending tons of money. And Cowboy fans are still going to run around saying they're America's team, spending tons of money, and life is going to go on.
Mhm. The Cowboys haven't had to win a Super Bowl in 30 years, and yet their fans still show up week after week after week after week. They still buy the jerseys, and they still buy the hype every year. Oh, this is our year. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Don't forget, they still break their TVs in January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. So the TV manufacturer
Well,
have and
Hey,
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Luca is Roger Goodell's private ball washer.
is
Unless,
Luka even here yet?
yeah, Luke is in the chat. But anyways, unless the Cowboys fans finally got intelligent enough to buy that $15,000 unsmashable TV.
I highly doubt that.
Smashable TV.
I think that's half the fun for them. It is
they
you
have-
always see there's always a camera recording when they're breaking their TV. It's either their families have seen this so many times they know it's about to happen, or for them it's kind of cathartic that hey, we suck, but I broke a TV.
Hey,
I mean,
Ken, I think it's more the fact that, well, hey, we're not going to need this money on playoff tickets.
Think about this though. I mean, Philly fans, you let them make a Super Bowl appearance once every decade or so, and then that sustains them. Washington fans, you just keep throwing them in the tumbler, and they're fine. Let them have a close to 500 season. They're good. They're going to show up in droves next year to all hail, right? I mean, if you look at a lot of these NFL franchises, they're right. They always play that bubble just right, and the teams where they need to bring markets up, all of a sudden ascend and do well for a period of time. And now when the AC falls off eventually, and they will fall off, they'll be like, okay, they'll be sustainable for another decade or two, and then they'll have to do something.
So, with all the reports that came out that the McCaskies and Poles were fighting in the offseason because he wanted Flus gone. And then they eventually, it wasn't Poles that went to the office to fire Flus. It was the president of football operations.
Kevin Warren.
And now, while you were gone, there was a report that the president of football operations is picking your head coach.
So I
Not
saw
Poles.
that. I saw that, and I saw 3 other articles that said it was Poles. So
I've seen the other articles, but the one is a lot closer to the Bears organization than some of the others.
And then I saw that they put all head coach talk on pause the next couple weeks. So it's going to be one of those things where as fans, we get to speculate on who it could be and who the short lists are going to be and all that. But organizationally, I don't think they're doing anything for the next couple weeks. So, I mean, look, Poles is going to have to be a part of this because he's going to be tied to it for his job. So unless
I think his job is done after this year's over.
I don't know, the personnel he's brought in the right players.
That's my bold prediction, is that
Yeah.
they're hiring a new GM and coaches all the way across the board. They're cleaning house.
Hey,
I-
Jeremy,
I
I,
was
heard,
gonna
I read an
say-
article this morning that said that Poles is going to resign because of the differences between him and the manager.
that's-
They won't,
I
give him
would-
a choice. They won't let him pick the coach.
If anything, I would go more Rob's route on that. Like the Bears, I think if you look at the players he's brought in, they're phenomenally happy with the personnel choices, player wise, that he's brought in overall. But I agree with Rob. If it becomes a situation, well, hey Ryan, Kevin's gonna pick this head coach, and you're gonna be stuck with it. I think he might just he's got the power to resign, and I think that's a lot more powerful than anything else.
But what's the end result of that? Is that the Bears are looking for a new GM and a new coach. So
Yeah,
like,
and
he just
Poles
said whether he
walk-
gets fired or whether he resigns.
I mean,
The Bears are going to be. That's a spicy take, dude.
I mean, look at though. Like,
I
if you
think
look
they're
at-
cleaning
if you were to
house.
look at Bears fans, and like Mike's already in the comments when Poles isn't going anywhere. If you were to poll Bears fans, I think would be absolutely livid and have the tiki torches and pitchforks at Hallis Hall if Poles were to be gone in any way, shape, or form after this season, because we have not seen a GM assemble a roster of worthy players like this. And for crying out loud,
O-line. That's your biggest downfall.
you know,
He didn't address the O-line. He drafted a wide receiver instead of the best O-lineman available. That is where they made a mistake. They went with a luxury pick, and then in the next round, still didn't take an O-lineman.
And the old line last couple weeks has played better, JB. I mean, overall, I
have
mean,
you
look,
won?
you can
Have
cherry
you won?
pick. Look at JB, you can cherry pick the O-line. I agree the O-line still isn't where it needs to be, and there's been some injury issues and other things. But overall, the talent he's brought in has been far superior than what we've had out of GMs over the last decade plus.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You can't not say that they could completely clean house and fucking just find another GM too. I mean, it's not.
I'm not saying they couldn't. I'm not saying they couldn't, but I think Bears fans.
My bet is
like,
they will.
No, Poles hasn't been the problem, and Poles needs to stay because Poles has done a lot of really good things for this club, and you can't fix everything at once. I mean, look,
like you also said, Ken, is the management doesn't pay attention to what the fans want.
They don't.
Yeah.
No, they
For
don't.
any NFL team.
They don't.
If that's what they think is one of the weak links, they're going to sever.
cut 'em.
Now almost seems like the time to do it. If you're going to get rid of your GM, get rid of everybody all at once, and that way you can build the guys together.
I love how everyone in the NFC North is all pro. Everyone outside of Chicago, they're going to get rid of Poles. Poles hasn't done a good job. And you know what's funny? And Joe's already smiling because he knows it. It weakens the Bears. I mean, he's done well as a
I could
GM.
care less if they keep him, to be honest.
He's
I don't
done
give two shits
better
one way or the other.
overall. He's done better with his draft picks and his signings than any GM we've had in over a decade. He's done
Nobody's arguing that with you, bro. But the bottom line is the wins and losses. And that's what it all comes down to, man. I mean, fans want wins. Fans want fucking championships. Fans want these things.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah,
To me,
no.
I agree with Ken to a certain extent about Poles. Like, I think he's done a passable job. And like, I think it bodes well for him that he wanted to fire Flus before the season started.
Yeah.
Like, and they wouldn't allow him to. Like, he wanted to make the right decision and he wasn't allowed to. But I think that, like, the Bears, if they do end up firing him, it's sort of like, hey, thanks for building this roster for us. Now we'll see you later. It's like, we're going to go in a different direction. Like, it's kind of screwing Poles over, dude. Like,
When you talk
because
about
I think Poles has done a pretty decent job the last few years, especially considering how he managed the draft. Like, I do agree with JB though. Like, not taking an offensive lineman was a huge mistake, you know. But I mean, the thing is, you got Rome, you got DJ. Like, you have the wide receiver core now that most of the league would be envious of. Like, now going into this draft, you know what you have to work on. Yeah. There's only one position group that needs, like, your full attention. You know what I mean?
And hindsight is always 20/20 on personnel, but they thought they had a better offensive line than what they actually put on the field and look, there were some mitigating factors in there with injuries and stuff like that. There were some mitigating factors. It doesn't wash it all away, but we're good for now was kind of the mentality. He didn't say they were great. He was happy with it now, and you can't fix everything. And that luxury pick of Rome Odunze set you up at a receiving core for the next 5 years. And this year wasn't about going to the Super Bowl as much as it was growing Williams and starting to
I'm going to beg to differ. Every single fan, as soon as you got done with the draft, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
We got a league MVP.
And you guys, Ken, you're on record saying
hold on. JB just made a claim that's untrue. Show me the receipts of me saying that, JB.
I didn't say
you said I'm a Bears
fan. But you're also a podcaster. I'm talking about your average Bear fan out there. Every single one
I know,
of
but
them
Ted, you were on record saying you guys were going to get 10 wins. You had 7 with the.
He had him at 15-2. He had him at 15-2.
No, I remember that. I remember the pickup night. I'm just saying. But in the beginning, in most of the offseason, he was like 10 wins. You guys were even Woody came out and said, "Look, we won 7 this year. We should at least get 10 with what Poles has done with the team."
I'll go ahead and
say
it. I said the same thing. I said anything less than 10 wins would be a disappointment for this team.
Exactly.
With the roster that they had.
Here's the wonderful thing, guys. We got the receipts. You can go back, and I even gave you 3 tiers of what could happen with the Bears this year, right? And I did give you 3 tiers. I said
I gave you 1 tier. I said you're going to win 4 to 8 games. How many have you won?
JB. Once again, JB, you've proven that you're the smartest man in podcast. I mean, that's not the point. I gave
No, I'm just
I gave
saying.
I gave 3 different tiers of where the Bears could end up this year, and they're going to end up on the bottom one. That's fine, but
Hey, JB, I'm curious to know, why did you think that they were a 4-win team before the season? Like
Because of the
when
O-line. The O-line
Okay.
and the coaching, 100%.
I
And I
just thought it
said
was
that.
coaching. I thought they should have got rid of fucking Flus last year. The guy's trash. I thought that last year. I didn't.
That's fair.
We
But
argued
I
about it.
figured that their offensive talent would be able to carry them further
Yes.
than
And a lot of people
than
did.
it
I
did.
agree. I was on that wagon. I thought
Yep.
with all the guys they brought in, and I mean, you literally got a new guy at every position on the O line practically. I mean, you guys did something to the offense. You got a new running back. You got a new wide receivers. You drafted a new quarterback. You drafted a wide receiver. I mean, you guys put stuff in
at
place.
the O-line, they brought in a couple guys for the 2 areas where they had the biggest problems, right? Center and right guard. The guy they brought in to be the right guard ended up going on IR for the first half of the freaking season. The center, Shelton, has played vastly better than what we had the year before, right? So that was a good pickup. The problem has been right guard. The tackles have been good. The left guard, if he can stay healthy, has been good. It's been the right guard has been the constant thorn in the side. Now, look, we got a draft where they can pick up linemen. Like, they've got opportunities to pick up 2 or 3 linemen between offensive and defensive in the first 2 rounds, which they'll do. But fans are every year. Yeah, you're right, JB. Fans every year, the fans, just the average Joe on the street, every team is going to the Super Bowl. I mean, look at even Carolina. Well, maybe not Carolina fans weren't saying it, but there were a few. Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl this year because Bryce Young is going to explode.
I was
What
going
about-
to say, I
about-
would
Say that.
shop
What about Adam Rank
one
and
or
Nick
two out
Wright?
there.
Guys that get paid to do this. They said
Adam
the same
Rank.
thing.
Yeah,
They
but
said 15 and 2.
but
That's a
JB
bitch.
But JB, that's the difference. They get paid to say bombastic shit like that because it gets clicks, likes, and views.
Ken just does it for funsies.
Yeah.
Funsies.
We enjoy
No,
it.
he's a podcaster. He
We-
does it for the same reason.
Yeah, but
yeah.
JB, there's a big difference between me and Adam Rank or any of us.
There is?
I
We're not-
understand, but what I'm saying is,
Hold on, let me finish. We're not getting paid the millions of dollars and trying to suck in advertisers. We're doing this because we're a bunch of guys who like football and like to talk about it. We don't have to say the bombastic things that Stephen A. Smith says or anyone else for that matter, right? And we don't have to be Homer fans every year going to the Super Bowl like we do a little bit because we're still fans after all. But at the end of the day, we're not here to make millions because none of us are going to make millions doing this. It looks like, or we probably already would have. And we're not just going to be Homer fans. We're trying to have actual football discussions to a point and take our fandoms out of it a little bit. Not that it works, but we try. And that's what we attempt to do here.
Yeah, but none of us have a dog. If you keep your shitty quarterback and GM, we don't care. It doesn't matter. We've been beating the shit out of you guys for the last 5 years, man. All of us. So if you keep them, that's great.
Not all of them, Rob. Maybe
Oh, yeah,
Giving our opinion,
all of us.
what we would do if we was in charge. That's
every
all.
team in this division has a winning record against the Bears since Dan Campbell took over.
Just saying, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily Poles' fault though.
Yeah, I don't.
I think Poles has put together a pretty good roster aside from the offensive line. Like, I think that if they address the offensive line, there's no reason that roster can't be a playoff team that could make a run next year.
And here's the other thing too,
I also to caveat that, I also think they should hire an offensive minded coach to work with Caleb Williams. That's what I think. Like, a defensive minded coach is not going to.
With the way the defense regressed this year.
Okay, so hold on. Let me get to Darren real quick before we go down this rabbit hole.
You got to have a focus, right? You got to have a focus. Traditionally, the Bears love to run the ball and play good defense, right? That's who the Bears have always been, right? But now you have a dynamic quarterback who needs development, and you have probably one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver rooms in the NFL right now. I think it's time to make that shift and maybe take an offensive focus, dude. Like, your defense is talented. It has some players on it. Try to find a good defensive coordinator. But I would make my head coach an offensive-minded guy so he can work with Caleb, because you've never had a quarterback that was as talented as Caleb. Like, Caleb has his faults, he has his warts for sure, but I don't think the Bears have ever had a quarterback that was as talented as him. But you have to find a way to unlock that talent, and I don't think Eberflus or a defensive-minded coach is going to be able to do that. That's just my opinion.
So to Darren's comment that I tried to get to earlier before it disappeared. So, look, I agree. Okay, on this comment, I think offensive line. They thought they brought in some people they thought were going to address the problem. Hindsight's 2020. Injuries happened. Other things happened. They thought maybe they'd get more out of Nate Davis. They didn't. Defensively, that's the only thing, Darren. Like defensively, I kind of agree with you, but then I have to then I go to then I have to think a little differently, right? Like, why didn't we sign another edge rusher? And the problem becomes, okay, and this is where we have to think deeper than, let's say, just the average guy in the street. Maybe there wasn't an edge rusher who contractually fit what the Bears are trying to do in the long term, right? Like, do you just get an edge rusher to get an edge rusher if he doesn't fit your system, fit your finances? You know, I mean, just to say, well, they should have gotten guy X isn't always the answer, right? Because we've seen where they've gotten guy X, right, to fill a hole, and it's made it worse. We see it in the NFL all the time. But I wish we would have done something more at edge, especially with Montez. He's been playing injured pretty much all year. That's why his production's been a little bit down. I would have loved to see the Bears do something on the other side of the ball, on the other side of the line from him, and pick up another edge rusher. But, you know, talent wasn't there, or the money to talent wasn't there, because just to say they should sign a guy is easy, but to sign a guy who fits your cap space, who fits, you know, the other variables that go into signing a guy, makes it a little bit tougher, right? Because think we could all say, well, they should just go out and sign someone.
Let's see.
Bro, you guys had two
At
top
9.
10 picks in the first fucking round of the draft, bro. You guys should have got more out of it.
No, well, I'm happy with Caleb and Rome.
Yeah,
I'm just
I think
saying,
Caleb
you
and Rome.
could have got yourself a home run with maybe turn that into a couple offensive linemen. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, now you're back to where I was pre-Fields trade. My idea was,
I'm not. I don't want to go back and beat that horse again. We beat it up on the offseason. We talked about.
But see, look, this is where hindsight's 2020, right? Because pre Fields trade, I was like, look, keep Fields, trade the first rounder, get a haul, fix a bunch of problems at once. Instead, they traded Fields, went and got Caleb. I'm happy with Caleb. I think he's showing he's going to be a very good quarterback in this league for a long time. I'm happy with the Rome Odunze pick because, you know, another problem we've always had in Chicago is that receiving position has always been problematic for the Bears. I mean, yeah, you get a Willie Gault once in a while, but Willie Gault wasn't a true number one. For as much as I love Willie Gault, we get a Brandon Marshall now and then, but we've never been able to get long-term success with the wide receiving corps. Now with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze under contract for the next 4 years after this season, you've got some stability and good receivers on the team, which the Bears aren't used to having. We've always had good running backs. We've always had good linebackers. And after that, it's been kind of like a horseshoe or throw a dart. What position is going to be decent? So I'm not upset with those draft picks, but
You could have had at 9 if you didn't take Rome. And let's just throw this out there. You could have had either the best guard, the best center, or you could have had the best edge player to be opposite Montez Sweat right there. And I'm telling you right now, all of those would have been better than taking a wide receiver. The wide receiver,
JB.
The wide receiver was a luxury pick.
I disagree with you, JB, but that's okay. We're allowed to
disagree. You don't even have to agree or disagree. You guys aren't set up to fucking have an offense like that. I don't think. You don't have anybody that could coach. I mean, unless you guys really thought Waldron was going to be the guy that could lead you. I don't understand how you guys thought you could do with all that because you haven't used what you got.
I think when Brown took over as the OC, he showed that Waldron's offense, if called properly, could yield results.
Oh, yeah. 4 yards in the first half last week showed it.
And they still came back, JB.
Yeah, because they went to a.
Oh, that's right, man. Are you saying it's because the Lions suck in the second half and the Bears were able to just do what they wanted with you?
Oh, I'm not talking about versus the Lions.
Oh,
I'm talking about versus the 49ers.
Oh, that's a whole other ballgame.
A team that had been giving up 150 yards per half all year held the Bears to 4 yards.
JB, and like I said, I think it was too much for Brown to handle going from being interim OC to interim HC because calling the play, from ground level versus calling it from the box, huge difference. And he did terrible at it. But in the first 3 weeks when he was in the box, being an OC, calling from there, he actually, this offense looked a lot better and improved. And every Bear fan saw it and was like, wow, this offense looks a lot better with him calling from the box. Well, maybe he should be the head coach. And a lot of us were like, whoa, 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 be careful what you wish for. And he moved down to the sideline, and all of a sudden he's not calling as good of a game. There's a reason for that, right? Calling the game from the box is a lot better than calling it from the sideline.
I agree with you there too, Mike.
We should get Jadeveon Clowney to the Bears next season.
God, that'd be ridiculous. Yeah, Mike. I think Alt being gone, well, we know Rome actually was always Foles' plan. I think if Joe Alt was there, it might have made him take pause if Alt had been there at 9. Of course, we won't know because he.
I really hope and pray it would have been more than a pause. I hope he would have been tripping over himself to get that card.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think that's if
If it had been him or JC
I
Lee,
wish we could
both
ask
of those
Foles
were
how he
gone.
wanted to play if he really wanted to take Caleb or if he wanted to trade the first round pick, because he could have got a haul for the first pick.
he could have.
He could have got a
Joe-
haul. He could have solved his offensive line problem. You guys would have kept Fields. You know what I'm saying? He would have fixed a lot of problems going that direction.
I mean,
too.
but I made that
Or-
argument in the offseason
or-
before the draft, and everyone told me, "Oh no, you'd be stupid to do that." Now it's like
That's true.
hindsight's always
Or-
20/20, man.
Not
That's
be the
true.
nice guy and let Fields go where he wanted and took the deal that was better,
Yeah,
and you
Yeah.
could have built the whole team around that deal.
Yeah, that too. That's another.
I don't know if you were going to get. You might have got a third rounder. I don't think you're going to get a haul.
Washington was about to give up a shit ton.
It was at least 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks they were given.
Yeah,
Yeah, I read that too.
If that
Somebody made a ridiculous offer for Fields. I don't know
And
who
they
it was.
even
I don't know what
when
you
they
should have
turned
taken.
that down, they upped it to 3 first-round picks, and Poles still said no.
Yeah.
Well, who was the team that offered that?
Washington.
Washington.
They didn't have the
Wow.
first, the second, and the 9.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was stupid.
If that, I mean, that's obviously a big miss. If that's actually very
God
viable.
damn, man.
Even if
No
There was
wonder they
eight
want to
others.
fire Poles.
Yeah.
He gave up
Yeah,
3
see,
picks.
I didn't know that. I
Are
didn't
you
know that.
fucking
I
kidding
didn't
me?
know that part.
I
Like,
would have fired him myself.
yeah, that's
I fired him after
Big
the
man,
trade.
Caleb, Yeah, I mean, look at hindsight with all these moves is always 20/20, right? They shoulda, coulda, woulda. I mean, they were looking. I think they thought they were in a lot better position than they are personnel-wise in the line to start the season. And coming out of camp, they thought they were better. And then all of a sudden, your starting right tackle ends up on the IR for half the season. And Nate Davis, who you thought, well, maybe this guy will be better, because look at when he played in Nashville, he was actually pretty damn good. And then he comes to Chicago, and it's like, yeah, I got paid, so enjoy. I mean, come on.
Oh.
Additional 6th-round pick versus 2 firsts and 2 thirds.
no,
Yeah,
3
get it,
first.
JP.
They upped it. They
Wait,
upped
I
hold
it.
know,
on,
but
JP,
I'm just
let me
saying,
get
and then
let me
they
get the
upped
horse
it.
for you
I'm
to
just saying
beat
the
more.
initial offer.
Let's
That's
get the horse for you to
unforgivable, dude.
And 2 thirds.
JD, we got it. You've already beat the horse instead.
I know. I'm just saying.
That's unforgivable,
It's
dude.
dead. It's beat dead, JD. We got it.
It-
We can't. We're trying to relitigate the Justin Fields trade. I get it. I was for either keeping him and getting a haul, and if the haul for Fields for DC would have been true and apparent to everyone, I think everyone would have said the same thing back then too. Here we are now, 3/4 of a season later, trying to relitigate the past with hindsight that's 20/20. I got it, JB. I got it. So it'll be interesting to see what I'm going to be. Monday night is going to be interesting to see what the Bears do.
I like how you phrased that, because it makes it really seem like they're not going to do anything.
Well, I mean, because honestly, I think Brown, like I said, I think he was a good interim OC. I think making him the head coach was a mistake, but I mean, I kind of get it why you do, because that's usually but because the interim, our DC was kind of a DC in name only, so I kind of get not promoting him. And Brown had shown promise in the 3 games, right? That he had been the OC, so I kind of get it. And then It's not like you're going to go outside of the organization to hire a head coach, interim head coach, right? Teams rarely, if ever, do that. So you're kind of in a rock and a hard place. I mean, but it is ironic that the Bears did worse without Flus than they did with Flus. So this whole situation went sideways.
Disarray, man. It's completely gone backwards.
You know, I think the Bears should consider for their next head coach. I think they should consider Doug Peterson, dude. No, I'm being dead serious. Like Jacksonville doesn't have the talent that Chicago has offensively. Like, and he has a proven track record, man. Just because it didn't work out in Jacksonville doesn't mean that he's a bad coach.
Well, he had coached somewhere else and it absolutely sucked before he went into Philly.
Oh, he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah, but wasn't he a head coach before that somewhere else and absolutely sucked there?
I mean, it's hard to argue with. You know, he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, dude. Like,
and then he fell completely apart for 2 years in a row in Philly.
Yeah, but Philly. Look at Philly now. Like, look what happened to him last year, and now they would just won 9 straight, and now there's more
Philly's
drama coming out in Philly, like
because they
Brandon Graham. Yeah, like, so I don't know. You know, I don't know if it's all his fault. And I'm just looking at who's going to potentially be available. Like, I think you could do worse than Doug Peterson. I think he's an upgrade from Eberflus, if I'm being honest.
I think Doug Peterson's became the Mike McCarthy of NFL the way he's coaching because he's going archaic and he's been playing. That team, roster-wise, the entire time Doug Peterson has been there, is better than the New York Giants, yet they have the exact same team successes.
So as a head coach, he's got 2 head coaching stints, Philadelphia from 2016 to 2020, and then Jacksonville. They took 2 years off, and from 22 till now, the Jags.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he had another stint before Philly.
His regular season record right now is interesting. 62, 63, and 1 is his head coaching record for regular season. For postseason, he's 5-3. He's obviously got a Super Bowl victory as a coach.
I'm calling it now. 3rd time's the charm. They're getting Josh McDaniels.
No, I said the right thing. If the president's looking to coach again, it's Ryan Day next year.
Vrabel's an interesting name that's been tossed around a lot too.
That's who I would put higher up in my tier. I wouldn't say he's the guy, but I would have him in the tight group at the top.
I would say ask Foles, but he doesn't know either.
But it just depends on who you're going to have as an offensive coordinator then.
But at the same, yes, because that's been the downfall of Mike Vrabel. He's had bad offensive coordinators that were bad with quarterbacks. Great with running backs, great with wide receivers, but their quarterback play never elevated past what it was the entire time he was there.
See, that's the thing. It's like, I don't mind if it's a defensive-minded head coach if they've got a good history of hiring OCs or quarterback development. If they got a good, track record.
Vrabel's hired a couple good offensive coordinators.
What about Aaron Glenn? That's a good take right there. I like
Eric Glenn. I saw the article about Eric Glenn about how he wants to handle his head coaching aspirations, I guess is a way to say it. I think he's going to turn some suitors off that way, the way he's kind of talking.
That wasn't Aaron Glenn that said that. That was Ben Johnson. I have the quote right here.
How he's not going to chase. If he goes, he's expecting.
You don't want much, Mike.
If he goes to interview, he's expecting that the job is already. I'm like,
that was Ben Johnson. That was Ben Johnson, not Aaron Glenn.
Not Aaron Glenn. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ben Johnson.
Somebody ask the McCaskies who they want, and then we'll know.
Well, Virginia.
I don't think they know who they want until 5 minutes before they make the hire.
I mean,
it's going to be Norv Turner.
Someone's got to have
Norv Turner to the Bears.
Norv
Turner to the Bears next year. Norvell Turner.
I'm wondering if Ron Rivera is interested or is going to.
I personally wouldn't want Ron Rivera as head coach. He's not a bad coach, but I personally just don't like him as a head coach. You seen the collapse that they had down in Carolina. Yeah, and then you've seen the middle and aspect they had in Washington. Granted, I will give a bit of an asterisk to that because of how shitty the management
Right.
is.
Look at
I
Darren.
mean, when you look at the collapse in Carolina, a lot of coaches who have long tenures do go through that to some degree. And then he went to Washington and he started turning an organization around before Dan Snyder kind of self-sabotaged the organization. I mean, so Rivera, look at Bears fans will like it because he's an 85 Bear. I mean, his name's gonna get brought up by Bears fans probably in general, but I'm wondering if he's not maybe actually not a bad prospect. You know,
Had 1, 2, 3,
Tell you, man. Until you guys
13
just
years in the NFL and winning
Yeah.
season. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, he's double exactly what Doug Peterson is. 102, 103, and 2 ties.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
I'm not a big fan of Ron Rivera as a head coach.
Again, with him, he's had a little dabbling with the offensive side of things. And the
Yeah.
years that he didn't have a good offensive coordinator was the years they had good records.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, he might be better suited for the Bears job because the offense needs more work than the defense. The defensive talent is already there. All he's got to do is get a defensive coordinator that doesn't have his head up his ass.
Mike, you're probably right. That's the funny part about all this. You're probably right. It'll be some. I mean, look at all the head coaching hires. Like, look at Green Bay. No one had him on the radar.
Yeah, no one thought Saul LaFleur. Tell you
You
that.
know,
did.
I mean, it's always some guy that
I was going to say I had LaFleur on the radar. He was the guy that I absolutely wanted because of the offenses that he had called.
I mean, it's funny though. Like 90% of the time, it's the guy that the talking heads on the multimillionaires sportcasters aren't talking about. All of a sudden, it's the guy who gets hired, and they're all scrambling like to say how great it was or how bad it was of a decision to kind of protect their own ego sometimes.
Ooh,
What
that
about Bill
reminds
Belichick?
me of a certain Raiders team that had a certain analyst become a GM and make the greatest pick ever in the history of the draft.
Henry Ruggs?
Who, Max Crosby?
No,
Max Crosby.
I'm talking about Mike Mayock and
Yeah, I know. And he drafted Max Crosby. So
Yeah, no,
that's one of the greatest
you
draft picks.
you know that's not who I'm talking about.
I
No,
know.
I don't know who you're talking about, but I know he drafted Max Crosby in the 4th round, and that's one of the greatest. If you look back, that's one of the greatest picks ever made because Max Crosby is a first-round talent, absolutely. So
Amon Ra in the 4th is pretty good too.
yeah, Amon-Ra is a great pick too.
There's
But
a lot
he's
of
over here trying to shit on Mike Mayock, and like Mayock had bad luck with the early picks, but his late
yeah.
round picks were
Yes,
gems, dude.
Clelin Farrell?
Yes, Mike is.
Were you
Yeah.
going there?
Like I said, Mayock couldn't draft
Show me
first
one
round
guy
to
who can
save his
draft
life.
perfectly every
But-
draft.
But
Show me
when
one.
you get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round, Mayock found gems, dude.
I
Mayock
think
found, and it wasn't just Crosby.
I agree.
He got
with
Nate
that.
Hobbs in the 5th round. He got Hunter Renfro in the 6th round. Like, and Renfro was good for us for
Well,
a good
Nobody
while.
had Dan Campbell on your guys' radar. Nobody would have thought
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. I mean, there's a perfect example.
Now, after I watched the interview, because I did want Robert Salah for the whole 2 days when he was leading in the interviews with Detroit, but I watched his interview after the second Zoom call that he had in San Francisco, and he had already had reports that Matt Stafford was asking for a trade here in Detroit. Those reports had already come out, and this is prior to us having a GM or coach. That night, 11:30 p.m. San Francisco time, so 3:30 a.m. I'm up watching an interview with Robert Salah, and he goes, "I will walk barefoot from San Francisco to Detroit to coach Matt Stafford." I was like, "Oh, take his name off the list right there."
And with the thing with ownership, like I saw the thing about Jeff Bezos too. I mean, look at ownership. I get they're the next default people you blame when you're not having success. If the Bears were like not willing to put money into the team,
Yeah, well,
I can understand. But they've obviously look at the Bears have been obviously willing to spend money on contracts. I haven't seen anything where Virginia McCaskey at 101 years old is telling Poles, you need to sign this guy for this, or even George McCaskey is going, George McCaskey's pretty much removed himself from football operations stuff for the last, I don't know, almost decade, for the most part. I mean, I don't know if necessarily ownership is something, you know what I'm saying? Like some ownership, yeah, I get, because some ownership is like Jerry Jones. Other ownership isn't.
Do I make the bad joke?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ken.
Well, she is making those demands, but they got to get it written down and translated from Morse code from her ventilator.
I mean, it's funny. They were on the broadcast the other day. There's like Virginia McCaskey's forgotten more football than any of us. They're not wrong, but I mean, the only thing that the McCaskeys do with the Bears organization is, you saw it there in Hard Knocks, the no cursing kind of thing. They don't want cursing around.
Oh,
that's not a bad thing.
No, I think that's.
I'm sorry if you can't say.
I want them to say whatever the hell comes to freaking mind. If you're sitting there telling me I'm the biggest trash, bleep, 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 bleep.
I mean, it's not a bad thing.
I want that
with Hard Knocks. They said, "Hey guys, we don't want cursing." I mean, that wasn't a bad thing.
It's
now
not
your
a good thing
5-year-old
either.
kid can watch the game, watch it, and not, you're not doing this to his ears. So I mean,
Freedom of speech.
but I don't know if a change in ownership is necessarily always or ever really the answer across the board. With some teams, like where Dan Snyder was obviously doing things, I get it. Jerry Jones, I get it. Mark Davis, no. I mean, people have said that about Al Davis, Mark Davis. And look, at the end of the day, they own the team.
Well, guys,
If I was the
I'm going to
Bears,
go get my show ready.
if I was the Bears, I would call Bill Belichick. dude. I would call Bill Belichick, and I would just see if he's interested. That's what I would do.
As you see, Bill Belichick starting to interview for some of these college coaching positions. I think what he's doing, I don't think he's actually interviewing those so he's going to take it. I think he's gearing himself up for the NFL interviewing process so he can land himself one hell of a job.
And I think Chicago could be a good job for him. Like, you go in, you already have a defense that's pretty good. You're a defensive-minded coach who's consistently had top 5 defenses, and you have a history of working with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's the kind of coach that could absolutely get the most out of Caleb Williams, one way or another. Like, either Caleb is going to cut the mustard or he's going to be out of there.
I was going to say, do you really think that Caleb Williams could mentally take the type of abuse that Belichick gives to his quarterbacks? Because we heard Brady talk about the shit that Belichick used to do. And I think that might break Caleb.
Then Caleb needs to go.
I agree with you, Ken. I mean, that's like the when you look at what's come out post Belichick Brady, it's like, is Belichick really the guy you want with Caleb?
I think so.
Now, I think Belichick would do outstanding with a quarterback like Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But I don't think Caleb's that type of guy.
Or actually, you know who else? Carr. I think Belichick Carr would do well with Belichick because they share a similar type of football mind. I mean, I don't know who the right head coach for Caleb is, to be honest with you.
I'm telling you, Ken, put it in the Bears' head to come give me a call. I'll make sure they win every game that they have, except for against the Packers.
Green Bay. And Darren, your bad takes, dude, are bad takes, dude. I know that's with your show, you're full of them. But I mean, dude, they thought they had enough on the offensive line and injuries happened. Defensive line, I tend to agree with you. I would have liked to see another edge rusher on that defensive line, but they obviously felt there wasn't a free agent that made sense for them this year. And I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but I thought they probably thought they had a better offensive line than they did. But Darren, the bad takes are evident. I mean, but hey, Darren, you're not allowed to talk. You're not first place. Those are your own words.
See,
but you
I'm going to go ahead and say,
Ken's been made to eat his own words enough. He can make somebody else eat theirs every once in a while.
I think Bill Belichick would be the perfect coach.
Because I mean, if
really
you're going to
do.
have somebody talk to somebody about bad takes, Ken's the freaking king here. Really? I expected you to say something back to that, Ken. Come on.
We all have bad takes. I mean, that's fine. But I mean, look at you. None of you guys are happy like obviously Darren, taking Rome Odunze was a bad call. A lot of Bears fans will disagree with you. They like the Rome Odunze pick because now we're solid at wide receiver. Because here's the thing, Darren, if they picked the way you wanted them to pick, the way your genius mind, well, you can't talk, you're not first place, says they should have picked, then you'd be bitching that the Bears didn't do enough at wide receiver. There's always going to be something to bitch about. You've made that evident. You're the king of it. But I mean, if they don't take Rome Odunze, now they're bitching because Rome Odunze is having a phenomenal year somewhere else. Oh, they could have had Rome. That would be the argument. Hindsight's 2020, man. I mean, you've got what you've got now. Deal with it. Move on, Darren. They've got Rome Odunze. You're not yet.
McDaniels.
Yeah,
Sarah's campaigning hard for you guys to hire Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I'm with Sarah on this one. You definitely want to go Josh McDaniels.
Bear Down
Third
Mike
place
says
is a charm, I'm
Belichick
telling
is
you.
72 years old. How long would he be able to coach? The thing is, Belichick's not walking into a situation where he has to build a team from the ground up. He has a pretty workable roster already. All he needs to do is improve the offensive line. And I actually think he would be the best coach for Caleb because he's either going to get it out of him. If he can't get it out of him, then nobody can, dude. So you'll know within the first year or two if Caleb is going to cut it or not, dude.
Hey, Darren, how many Super Bowl trophies does your team have in the trophy case? None? Yeah, shut up. You can't talk here.
He said Belichick has blue too old.
So does that mean, Ken, you only get to say one sentence?
Yeah. Well, look, but Ken, I've already got 2 Packer fans here anyway, so we've already got that ratio complete. That's why Darren's not here. He has no rings.
I was going to say, even with how much we shit on the Raiders, Joe's got himself a couple of rings.
Yeah, he's got 3. He's got more rings than he's got as many rings as the 3 of us combined. He's got 3 Lombardis. We've got 3 between the 3 of us.
We've got 4.
Yeah.
Lombardis.
Yeah, we got 4 Lombardis.
Packers got 4.
We got 4.
I don't know why I'm stuck in that. I was thinking that 1980 on, our lifetime.
You're stuck in 85. We know.
No.
You know you're stuck in 85. That's the biggest.
If we're gonna say our lifetime, we got to go by 1990 since I'm the youngest one here.
Yeah. 85's like it's so far behind us now that.
Well, I mean, I'm 72. I'm 72. So since I've been born, we've only between you, me, and Rob have 3 rings, have 3 Lombardis. I mean, Joe at least has got rings, but Darren, that's why Joe can talk and you can't. He's at least got Lombardis in our lifetime. He doesn't have a 13-win season and lose to the Giants in a blowout in the first round.
Let me thank you guys again for blowing that because that got Daniel Jones the contract and got Xavier McKinney over into Green Bay. Thank you again.
And guess what? The Vikings will probably get blown out in the first round again this year. It's a Vikings tradition.
Oh.
I mean, look, there's some interesting.
The sad part is I actually agree with you. I do think the Vikings are going to be one and done in the playoffs.
They're always a pretender, man.
I have a feeling.
And now they're going to overpay their starting quarterback this year, or they're going to dump him and say JJ's the Messiah, and he's end up sucking. But I mean,
that first playoff game, dude, Darnold is going to all of a sudden regress to old Sam Darnold. Like the ghost of Sam Darnold is going to come back, and he's going to fumble the ball 3 times and throw 2 picks.
No, watch, because we're all saying this now and laughing our asses off. Some of the bitch is going to throw 5 touchdowns and have a perfect passer rating.
Hey, Darren, be like Ken and I, where we no longer have to work days, and maybe you too can be as cool as us. But I mean, that's Joe. Going back to your take on Belichick, I hadn't necessarily thought about it in that way. I mean, you're right. He could force it out of Caleb, or Caleb could sink. I mean, but I think that's the problem, though, too. Therein lies the problem, because I think Bears fans, and legitimately so, are excited for Caleb because of what he's shown, that they don't want to risk that. They're being risk adverse. There is some risk.
No risk, no reward, man.
Yeah, but to me, with the kind of talent that Caleb has, you got to find somebody that's going to at least match partially with his personality. Because, hey, he might not be able to do it with a Belichick type of system. But say you give him one of these, say you give him a Matt LaFleur type where he's more your buddy, and every once in a while he'll get on you. that might be more of what Caleb needs type of thing.
I mean, and maybe Belichick learned from the end of the Brady years and the Mac Jones years.
Oh, no. I 100% believe he is stuck in his ways, and he is going to say, look at all these fucking Super Bowls I got. You want to bitch to my rings.
Yeah.
I can truly see him saying something to that effect.
And on that note, we'll see y'all tomorrow. JB in an hour of droning about how great the Lions are next.